Now, what is zakat? As zakat, when you go to the Quran, it says zakat, but it used adatul tarif. That is a definite article. So he put the word as zakat. There is alif and the lam in front. So as zakat, right? It's an act of giving to the needy in order to attain purity. This is zakat according to the Quran. Somebody might think, where did I get this definition from? Salam Baba, you can go to chapter 92 verse 18 and chapter 30 verse 39. You understand, combine these verses together, you understand what is zakat from the Quran. It is an act of giving to the needy in order to attain purity. That is zakat. Now, the scholars of the Sahih Hadith, the scholars of the so-called fabricated Hadith, will tell you to pay 2.5% of zakat, or as zakat. The last time I checked, this is called taxation. This is not zakat. It's called taxation. You're taxing somebody. Salam, Razil. The last time I checked, it's called taxation. You're taxing somebody. That is not from God. Where did God command you this? 2.5. Let them come out and show us from the Quran where God says 2.5. They are liars. Simple. If they say they are not lying, let them come out and face me, Shu'aib Abdullah, for a live dialogue or debate. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. Let them come out. Wallahi lazim. And no scholar on earth can disprove me. I repeat again, if he doesn't follow this book. Now remember, according to chapter 2, verse 185, the Quran contains the guidance and the criterion for mankind. What is the guidance? Something which guides you, which suggests to you what is you have to do, right? The guidance. Then the criterion, something you use to judge between right and wrong. Then according to chapter 42, verse 17, the book contains the balance. When we say balance, something which gives you the balance, the equilibrium of something, right? Good. And then according to chapter 13, verse 37, the Quran is the judgment. So Quran is the guidance, the Quran is the furqan, the Quran is the mizan, that is the balance, the Quran is the hukmah, the judgment. These four. Apart from these things in the Quran, God never gave you any other book outside the Quran to go and find your source of guidance, to go and find your source of criterion, to go and find your source of balance. You could go and find the source of judgment. No way. And no scholar on earth can tell me otherwise. Wallahi lazim. Now let's disprove the scholars right now before we move to the topic. The spoils of war, according to the Quran, is called maganima. Maganima. According to chapter 8, verse 41 of the Quran, Surah Al-Anfal, God talks about the spoils of war and how it should be distributed. According to that verse, God says 1/5 of whatever is acquired from the spoils of war. This is not about zakat. It's from the spoils of war. 1/5. That is 1 in 5 equal parts. Something 1 out of 5 equal parts. God says 1/5 should go to God in order to be given to the messenger, the relatives, the orphans, the poor people, and the wayfarers. Now, so if God can tell you in the Quran to give 1/5 of the spoils of war to God so that it can be given to the messenger, the relatives, the orphans, the poor people, and the wayfarers, are the hadith scholars trying to tell us that this same God could not mention a percentage of how zakat should be given or should be paid if he so wishes? Afala ta'kilun? Can't you reason with me for once, ladies and gentlemen? If this same God can tell you in the Quran that 1/5 of the spoils of war, whatever the messenger has gained with his people from the spoils of war, the war they fought and won, and then got the spoils of war, that is the loot. If he can tell them 1/5 out of this should be given to the wayfarer, to the relatives, to the orphans, are you telling me this same God cannot mention how much percentage you should give out of zakat? Afala ta'kilun? What are the scholars trying to tell us? Can they use their reasoning for once? Okay, if they don't want to reason on themselves, let them come and face me, Shu'aib Abdullah. Wallahi, I will help them to reason accurately. They are listening to me, I know. Let them come out and face me for a live dialogue, public. I don't need private dialogue or debate. Public. and let's tell the public the truth. Nothing but the truth, inshallah. Because it tells you in chapter 18, verse 29, قُلِ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. And this is the truth from your Lord. Whoever wills, let him believe. Whoever wills, let him disbelieve. No wonder common sense is no longer common among the so-called Muslims of today. Look around you. Common sense is no more common among the so-called Muslims of today because we don't use our logic.